All right. Hello, Sunshine. Welcome back to another episode of Heart of Blaze podcast. And also welcome back to this is our first year of doing two seasons in 1 year. So this is season two. And I'm really, really excited to bring back the season with a really old friend and a great artist, Sockittome. If you want to introduce
Hello.
yourself.
Hi, Timmy.
Hello.
uh,
It's been ages. It's actually been 2 years we were talking about before. And I guess like the best way to start is as always, because your artist name is so unique, it might be good to kind of reintroduce and kind of explain a little bit. I mean, first of all, how to pronounce it and also where does it come from?
so it's pronounced "sock it to me," which is like crammed all the words together to make one word, which people can sometimes mispronounce, but it is "sock it to me," and it really just came from a bunch of artists I was listening to would say "sock it to me" in their songs. I mean, for example, Aretha Franklin does it in "Respect." There's a band called Fuji and Miyagi. They say it quite a lot. The Monkees, Mickey DeLenz from the Monkees would sing it in a few songs. And I was just like, wrote it down one day and I was like, that's pretty cool. And then the rest is history, I guess. I
Uh,
just I just sort of picked it up.
it's such a great name though. It's so memorable and it's like it's just not even just like different. It's like it sits in a category on its own, I think. Like when I think of artists, I
Right.
feel like that's definitely one of the ones that really, really stands out, which is really cool.
Oh, I appreciate that. I feel like it's probably one of the hardest decisions you make when you're a musician because there's so many names out there that trying to
Yeah,
find something at the very it's sometimes it's just a case of trying to find something that just isn't taken more than
yeah.
anything as and if you're
Like
lucky it can maybe have some meaning behind it but
yeah,
yeah
because like you have to think like when you I guess get bigger eventually, like you really wanted to not get confused with other people. It's kind of like
yeah
artists who are called Ben or something, and then they all eventually have to like try and mix up their last name because it's just there's too many of them out there.
yeah yeah I mean
Yeah.
I was tempted to go with my name but it just felt quite generic so I was like but I quite like it now because people who get into the music naturally abbreviate it and start calling me like socks or socky which is quite nice
Yeah.
especially gigs and stuff. So
I feel like, um I mean, like you also have like obviously very unique sort of like cover. Like one of the things I really enjoy is like your sort of like designs with your, I guess like cover arts and stuff. Like kind of reminds me
mm.
of like puppets along those kind of creative lines around like design and stuff. Like it's got a bit of a whimsical side to it, and like
Okay, yeah, no,
pretty. That's also kind of pretty like uniquely you as well.
yeah. I mean, it's become like a bit of a happy coincidence that all of like my name is sock it to me, so socks. The album was called Safety and Jumpers. I wasn't planning on making a whole like clothing theme, but it's kind of all ended up being built around a similar theme, which is just a nice little happy
It's
accident,
like
really.
your it's like a merch designed itself essentially.
Yeah, for now, it makes me nervous about what my next move is because at the moment it's looked like it's been intentional, and I think it's the next thing even
Yeah,
going to be
you're gonna be
related to
like,
that.
how do I? Oh, okay. How do we talk about this subject?
Mm,
Cool. So I guess we'll get into some of the stuff about the music itself. So obviously we were talking about it's been 2 years, and when I
yeah.
backtrack the music that we last kind of talked about at the time, Run Run I think was the newest release, and might have been
Mhm.
kind of after the I think it was after the interview. Um, yeah. So like, do you want to kind of talk through a little bit about, I guess it's a lot to talk about, but it's like 2 years. You've obviously done some cool stuff like going on tour and all that. So like, I guess, give us a rundown and maybe like some of your most memorable moments.
Um, yeah. Well, so Run, like you said, 2 years ago. Uh, After I released Run Run, I began releasing Mutual, which ended up being like a very long campaign because it came at a point that I sort of started communications with this small label called Violet Crown from Athens in Greece.
Oh.
because they really wanted to release that with me, which was a cool little thing to come about at that time. Very fortunate to have found a label that works for me, especially like because there's so many options out there, and it's a bit of a headache for smaller artists, I think.
It
Then
is.
following that, I'm trying to think, 2024. That's quite a while ago. I don't
I
really
know.
remember what happened in 2024. I think because again, quite a few things changed shortly after that. Cool, because I originally had 6 singles lined up, and then I was just going to drop the album. And one of the agreements was that they wanted more singles, hence why like "Let Me See Yours" and
I believe
"Bored."
around that time you also collaborated with someone too. You had I forget his name, but you had a song where you featured someone else. You guys are essentially promote on each other's channel.
Yeah, that would have been "Bored." So that was with Carl Tomlin,
Mm. Oh,
who,
yeah, that's it.
yeah. So all the like the album was done long before 2024. But the rejig came in how many singles came out and how we spread it out. And that's ultimately why the album didn't come out until the end of last year. I think it was October, November. It was November 5th, I think, I want to say. So a lot later than I originally intended, considering because I wrote it back in 2022-ish. Like it was quite a
Wow,
while
that
ago.
is a huge gap.
Um, yeah. Well, there was just so much I wanted to make my life easier because I done a brief stint. I'm going backwards now instead of forwards. We had the original singles that I
Okay.
released, and it was kind of like I was learning as I was going along. So with every single, I was literally finishing one release and then finishing up a song, making the artwork, making everything in between songs,
Oh,
and
it's
it was
back to
just
back,
like,
isn't it?
and I think that's quite common. I think it's very easy. I think artists in general, we're very like scattered and we've got like loads of ideas and we don't necessarily know how to put them down because we want everything to happen right now. And that's kind of why I took about a year out of releases at that time after releasing Oh Heaven to just
Mm.
really think about what I wanted to do. Ultimately, it was an album, and then I wanted to think of the theme, and I wanted to think of the artworks, blah 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 blah. And so I was like, okay, it's all going to be laid out for me, and then life throws different curveballs at you, and before you know it, you got a label, and then
Yeah.
the singles are changing up and stuff. But yeah, so 2024 released a couple more singles. I think, yeah, said the schedule got rejigged. 2025 got to release the rest of the singles. Out of the blue, I got the opportunity to support Auto Heart, who are awesome. Never would have dreamt of being able to support them, but also at the point that we got into contact with them, I didn't even have a live band. I hadn't done like my music live. So it was like a very cool achievement, not only to take that music live, but also get to do it in such a amazing way, supporting such a massive band. In like because we got to play in the Dingwalls, which is such a cool venue. I am a massive fan of REM, and that was the first venue I think they played when they came to the UK back in like I guess it must have been early 80s, maybe late
Wow.
70s. I don't know.
Wow. So long history.
Massive for me, and a lot of big bands had played that, so it was very exciting to be in that room where all that energy had been. I also got to go to Manchester and play at another venue in London. We did BBC Introducing, got to do the live lounge, which was really cool. Got to feature in a game. That was really cool with my music.
Yeah, it's what's it
Trying to
called
think.
again? The game that you have
Project
your song,
Songbird.
Project Songbird, that's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
there is a
Um,
question coming up about that, so we can talk about that a little
mm,
bit more.
sure,
But
sure.
I thought that was really interesting. I was just like, wow, I can't say I know any artist that's like featured in like, in like a game project, and it is like a very, I guess like a unique niche, but it's very cool. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, you must
I'll
be
hold
very
off then.
Yeah, hold on on the YouTube because I really want to deep dive a bit more into how it fully like have its own section for it because I actually don't know anything about it. I think when I heard about it, I just kind of like I was pretty busy as well, but I was just like thinking, oh yeah, like I was like, oh for a game like that's really cool. I was like, but I don't really play games,
Mm,
so I was like, I didn't look into it too much. But I had a
yeah.
quick look like before, like when I was writing down the questions, and I was like, oh my God, I was like, I think this is like a pretty big project. It's not
Mm,
just like a feature.
mm.
Um, yeah, so I guess the biggest, like most memorable thing obviously is performing live and like having a live band. Did you find that really hard to organize?
It was easier than I expect. I think. I mean, in looking back, it feels like it just kind of happened. But I know at the time I was stressing like a lot about it. Fortunately, when I reached out to an old friend from school who I hadn't spoken to in years, and I knew he still did music, and I said, "Look, I've had to move back to my hometown. I don't suppose you know any. I know you do music still. I don't suppose you know any musicians." And he was like, "I'll play for you." I was like, "Well, that makes life easy." And I was like, "I just need to find a drummer and like a keys player, I guess." And he was like, "I might know someone." And I was like, "Cool,
Oh,
perfect."
yeah.
And it just so happens that they're just like the nicest guys and incredibly talented at what they do. And it really came to be honest, probably like well, definitely like the nicest sort of band setup I've had. They're very supportive and they pull their weight. And I feel like we all just sort of slot in together quite nice. So
Mm,
it could definitely have been a lot more stressful for sure.
mm,
Um, but as I feel like I was really proud of us for getting everything. Because I mean, it was like I want to say we had 2 months maybe to get the whole set sorted, get the
oh,
backing tracks done, and get
that's a
like
lot.
just get to a point that we felt we were confident enough.
Yeah, especially
And
like pressure
then
on live, like that kind of like adrenaline and everything. Like you kind of really want to be really, really comfortable, right? Mm,
yeah, exactly. And obviously we missed a bit of the opportunity to like perform loads and get comfortable on stage. But I feel like because we just gelled so well, that came quite naturally.
mm,
We did like a gig we didn't announce to anyone in Winchester's like a warm-up show. And then we are like, we'll just keep it low key, we'll just do like our set just so we can practice. And then it ended up selling like so many tickets. It's like which is awesome, really cool. But
that's
I
the
don't know,
best
I
kind of
guess
feedback.
yeah, definitely like it was like, oh, okay, so people want to come and see this um live, but it was like immediately I think for all of us we're like okay well there's a bit more pressure even on this like warm-up gig to do this well, but it's just it's the sort of thing that with time it just feels like it gets better. And I think I feel like we're on the same page that we're constantly wanting to see how much further we can take that rather than you know
Mm,
I mean I guess we got so much to catch up on really. We've I've This
yeah.
project's been going for quite a while now, so I think people deserve and expect a certain level of quality when they do get to hear it live. So I'm hoping that we can sort of deliver that really.
Yeah. Like, and I feel like the way you guys have gelled together nicely and become really like good sort of friends on top of like your like your how well you guys play together, it comes through
Mm.
in your reels because I've noticed a lot of reels where you guys had a lot of fun playing just like some promo kind
Yeah.
of material, but also just like having some fun with it. A lot of those came out
Mm.
really interesting to watch as well.
Yeah. I mean, personally, as someone who's like set out to make content and would probably be a self-confessed bad content maker to a degree, it's opened up like a whole other avenue of what we can do, which is quite exciting for me, or at least makes it more enjoyable because the amount of times I'm sort of struggling thinking, well, what can I post? Especially if it's, if it's between releases, you don't want to keep putting out, you always feel a bit uncomfortable posting your song every single day. So having an opportunity to show something a bit more interesting. Me out of the house, me with like the band and stuff. It's quite refreshing, even if it's just for me. But I feel like the audience as well has sort of taken to it
Yeah,
because I don't know, people. You know, it's more personalities in the room for people to sort of
it
connect with,
is.
which is nice.
It's also
Yeah.
an experience to kind of like, I feel like what you've talked about so far, these experiences probably not only help flesh out like your music a bit more, like performing live and then having just been in studios, like a mix of that, I feel like it would have developed into very different music if you were just a producer always sitting in like a studio space and, you know, producing
Yeah,
half
yeah,
of the world.
yeah.
Like it would probably create, and I know you like experimenting and kind of creating different sounds. Like I feel like that would really contribute towards that in like the near future.
Mm.
And like real wise, I remember one of the most memorable ones kind of goes in hand with the recent one you released where you were doing the phone thing with your mouth. That
Right,
one was
yeah.
really cool. But I think the one that really caught my attention for the one previous to that was like the one with the eye. Like I think you had the phone kind of reflecting to inside.
Oh
Like
yeah, yeah.
that was really cool. Like, I thought I was like, when I saw it, I was like, that's so unique.
Really
I
surprisingly
mean,
hard to do that one as well, actually.
it's
like,
hard though, because everything
I
reflects.
yeah, but like you think, I don't know. I think a lot of the, not all the time, but like when you see something like that you want to like effectively like a trend you want to hop on
Mm,
Instagram or something, it's like I always try to look at it and figure it out in my head and think, yeah, I could do that, and then I'll bring an idea to the band, and it's not until you get there that you're like, well, hang on, your eyes are pretty small actually. How are we gonna see the writing in the eye? How are we gonna like also when you play, it's gonna play
backwards.
backwards and it's all
Yeah.
reflected and stuff. And I was like, also
Oh, yeah.
people love to do that. Like this isn't just on this video, it's on a lot of videos. They love to do the whole like bait and switch thing where they'll be like, um, I blew the budget on this, so I'm having to like do a makeshift video here. And they'll have like the Snapchat thing where it's like,
Yes,
what's
yeah.
bro doing?
You've done
And
some of
then it
that.
cuts to like the result. But the
What they
result
kind of
is supposed to
do.
be like, it's suggesting to the audience that they've done it very like basic and maybe with a load of props. But the reality is most of the time they've actually gone to a location and filmed it. And it's like,
Mm,
you know what I mean? So it looks amazing.
mm,
Um, Not always, but a lot of the time
mm.
that seems to be the case.
Like,
So
I
there
don't know if
is
you
less
have
trickery
it,
involved.
but if you're interested in checking out, like one of the artists that's basically completely nailed this style so well in
Mm.
his like it pretty much led up pretty early on. He's just very good at this particular storytelling, and he's nailed this style so much so that one of his songs
I feel
basically
like I
became
can guess who it
viral.
is.
Okay, take a guess.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know. I'm nervous.
Okay,
Well, I was
so
going to I don't know.
it
You tell
starts
me.
with
You
C,
tell me and
his
I'll tell
artist
you.
name. Okay,
Citizen.
citizen artist, yeah.
Yeah, I do
Yeah,
it.
because he was everywhere. I was like, there's no one else who's like that viral over this trend. But he's done it in so many
this,
different ways.
mm, he
Yeah,
is like insane. I mean, I don't know how. I mean, he must have at least a small team. I mean, because
there's no way
it's
he can do that
like,
on his own.
well, no, and there's always like a nice car or something involved. Like,
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
he has
I've
an
got a
actress.
car,
He has an
but
actress on hand as well, which gets like, you know, it gets pretty handy, I
yeah,
guess. Like, I'm guessing it's
yeah.
his partner, his girlfriend, who plays
Um,
essentially his girlfriend all the time,
mm. But that's
or
not to
like
diminish, obviously, his work because it's like every video is insanely good, and I know that like
it's
he's
like the
probably worked
quality of the
hard to
video
get that.
itself. It's so crystal clear. I'm just like, my God,
Yeah,
what is he using? I
it's
was like, I
just
want one.
like the quality, the grading, the cuts, like just like the and just the ideas. Like it's not easy to come up with original ideas that regularly
Like,
um
I think for
when you
me, he's
want to do
become
music.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Like, you know, people like you who like to experiment with sounds, I feel like you guys all sit in the same kind of category and niche, and like it's a really cool category. Like, for example, John
Mm,
Bellion kind of sits in that category.
Yeah.
citizen artist. I found him when he was just making a song out of frogs sounds like that he saw, and he reversed
Really?
it, and then it became like a
Right.
love song or something. And I just thought it was
Yeah.
absolutely hilarious that there's just frogs like rebooting in the background, the reverse. So like a few artists do that, and I feel like when artists are that comfortable to play with their sounds, it's a really unique kind of I guess like quality, and it's like not every artist can do that or like
Mm.
to do that. Um,
Yeah, definitely.
yeah. So yeah, and I listed obviously you've seen the questions, and I listed a few of my favorites for the songs that you've released so far. You Are My Fire, Swim, Dum Diddy. They're like some of my personal favorites, other than some of the previous ones. Um, which one would you say is kind of like the most the one that you're most proud of currently, I guess, of your releases?
I mean, I wouldn't be doing myself any favors if I didn't say the new single that just dropped, which is the reimagining of "You Are My Fire."
Yeah.
I mean, these reimaginings for me, like I am really proud of them because they've been such a passion project, and I feel like at least when I've pitched the idea in the past, there was sort of some doubt around whether there was any point doing it. I mean, I've released remixes before, and they're
Mm.
like the least successful thing I put out. And that's no fault of the remix artist. It's just because it's about finding the right artists who who match with you, I guess, match your energy, match the sort of
Yeah.
enthusiasm for the project. And I feel like it's really nice with these new singles. It feels like reflective of a lot of hard work that the last few years have been building to, where I can get to work with Egna Rock on that first single. We've got Scrawny, who is insane. He is just the nicest, most talented guy, and I click so well with him musically. So
Amazing artist name
getting
as well,
him
by the
involved.
way.
Pardon?
Amazing artist name as well, like artist name choice, by the way.
I
Scrawny.
know, I know. Um, and then Ira, of course. It's just like, and then the ones who are coming up on future reimaginings. It's like, it's
Mm.
really not only great to know that they are up for working with me and getting involved, but the the our collaboration is actually being received really well by the listeners, and they're doing really well. In some cases, I don't know. I was going to say in some cases better than the original. I mean, in some ways, I feel like they have like every possibility of outperforming the originals, and that's just like crazy to me, and that's really cool. So I would say I'm most proud of those new releases, but like as far as ones that were just me, I always go back to Dumb Diddy because I just
That's
love
my
that
favorite.
song. I wrote it was a song that I wrote so quick. Like I think I wrote and produced it to like 99% in about like an hour or 2 hours. Probably wrote the like the bulk of the song in about 20 minutes, but it was just like came so naturally to me, and I thought it sounded like the bee's knees when I first wrote it. Only the only issue that really upsets me about it is that at no point did I consider that Diddy was in the title. And especially when I wrote it, I don't remember there being so much like controversy around him. I wasn't thinking of him. Listened
Oh,
I've never even listened to his music. He's not really on my radar.
I
And then
know.
when I finally did release the song, it was like peak controversy
Controversy.
with him. And
People will find something to complain about on anything though, like no matter
I
how
know, but
careful
the
you
thing is
are.
like as I said, I started putting out the promo for it, and I was so excited because, as I said, it was like the song I'm most proud of, and I just love. I just for me, it's just like it was the best I felt I'd sounded as someone who's probably quite insecure about their voice and stuff. I was like, but no, this sounds really good, and the lyrics feel really like meaningful to me. Put the first piece of content out, and then it was just flooded in the comments with like, "Nice try, Diddy," or lots of like Diddy gifs and stuff.
Oh, I know. The
And I
infinite
was like,
troll.
no. no, and the thing is, it could have been almost easily avoided if I just
Remove the
changed
from the
like
title or something.
just change the spelling or change the title to something
Mhm.
else.
But
And I was like, such I was a bit gutted about that. And I think because of that,
yeah,
I'm always a bit reluctant to bring it up in name because I'm like, I feel like I'm just gonna get flooded with comments or
it does make sense
something.
actually. Because now that you brought it up, I do notice. Like I can't believe I didn't notice at the time. But you know, I am following obviously a lot of artists right now,
Yeah.
and you being obviously the ones I actively follow it. But I did kind of now that you brought it up, it's actually pretty apparent that you've obviously done a few more different reels and promo for the other songs around it, but
Yeah.
that song
Yeah.
seems to have quite a chunk missing. And I'm like, actually, that's weird because I love that song that like sits right at the top, probably as actually my
Yeah.
favorite as well. It's such an infectious song, and like you said, like the lyrics are really interesting and it's personal to you and meaningful. And I do want to take the chance to tell like the podcast subscribers, I said, because I noticed you've started in your, I guess, chainmail list that you're going to start going through some of your songs in detail and talk about the backstories and stuff for your
Yeah.
songs.
Yeah.
And so just a little promo for that. I think people should join that because that's the kind of stuff that I really love about interviewing people and finding out about, like, because, you know,
Mm.
especially artists like you, like one, my hearing's terrible because I always get lyrics wrong. So you know, that's on me. But two is just your lyrics are like I would say they're like unique, but like poetic, but also kind of like they're not like completely flat, straight out kind of lyrics. So like it requires a little bit of understanding to kind of get into it. Like, but it's that's what's cool about it. And you do sound amazing
I
in that
appreciate
song.
that.
It's like it's just one song that immediately puts me in like a really good mood. So like you know, like when you step out of the door and you've been looking forward to putting on your headphones and listening to music like to start the day. And that's one of those songs
Yeah.
that's like perfect for like to start the day with.
Thank you. No, I
So
mean
just
it does mean a
listen
lot
to
to me.
that and support that song, especially after hearing what I had no idea about that because I don't really follow those kind of content. But
Yeah.
that's crazy.
I've stuck my foot in it now. Everyone
It's just
will
like the
know.
timing.
Yeah.
Oh gosh,
it
I
was
can't
it
wait
was
to like
particularly bad for me. I
I
mean, the
can't
thing
wait to
I
make
mean,
it
another thing
recover.
is that
Hmm.
uh there's a song, I don't know if you know it. I can't remember the band, but it's like do a diddy diddy dum diddy do.
Oh
Next thing
yeah,
I
yeah,
knew she
yeah.
was looking at like that's the only context I had for Dum Diddy for like
Hmm.
that
Like
sort of
that's what you're
nonsense
thinking of.
lyric.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think that song's even called "Do a Diddy."
do a DD. Oh, oh.
And I think I assumed that would be everyone's immediate like thought or where their brain would
Hmm.
go to. Um,
I guess the main thing we learn
no.
is also like a lot of people's attention span these days are more relevant. Like it's short, but so like it's more relevant information. So
Yeah,
unless
yeah,
the
true, true.
2000s like us, you know, like early 1990s, kind of like 2000s music kids, we retain a lot of that
Yeah, yeah,
music. Um,
yeah, yeah,
it is a different generation, so I guess I take it with a grain of salt. But I feel like, you know, with like
yeah,
that's what
yeah.
I wanted to bring up, like the thing you're doing. I feel like it's gonna offer a lot of your music a second chance. Like if they didn't quite get to the point of popularity that you wanted it per se. One,
Mm,
it's all fresh. They're all within the first year, essentially.
yeah.
So I feel like, you know, it's gonna eventually take off for a second round. Like that's what I noticed. For example, my podcast when I started doing YouTube this year only instead of doing Spotify
Yeah.
only, I had 2 subscribers every month up until June, and then when June rolled around,
Mm,
suddenly it said, "Oh, you have 32 new subscribers this month," and I was like,
mm.
but where is it coming from? I'm like, are there more
Yeah,
statistics?
yeah,
Like, I'm confused.
yeah,
I'm like so happy, but I'm so confused right now. So it's like stuff like that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you just really don't know. Like it could be the next second, and like one of the songs you least expect of your playlist, it's just gonna like skyrocket. And that's kind of the
Yeah,
cool
you
thing
know,
about this
yeah.
industry. Hmm.
Yeah, I think people are always rediscovering songs and stuff. So that is like a nice, and especially, you know, like I don't have any plans to stop releasing music anytime soon.
Yeah.
So hopefully, as long as I'm putting out music, it gives people more opportunities to sort of listen back to the discography, you
Yeah.
know,
And
find
I don't
something
know if
that they
you remember,
like.
like algorithm is such a weird thing on Instagram too. It doesn't promote songs that are most relevant either necessarily. Like sometimes
No.
you discover an artist and you go, "Oh my God, this song's great," and then after you commented, then you go back and you're like, oh, this song's like 5 years old.
Yeah,
That's happened to me on several occasions. I'm like messaging someone
yeah,
and going, wow, your music's all great. Oh wait, I'm like, this song's old.
yeah, yeah. It is.
And they'll be
It's.
like, oh,
It
someone's
does. It
bumping
does
it on
happen a
this.
lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I think
It's
people
interesting.
like sort of finding like a real hidden gem and then latching onto it and then playing it into oblivion. So like,
Mm,
it's just the life cycle. It seems sometimes. Yeah.
mm. So I guess like following that, let's tweak the question just a little bit. But like, so in terms of behind the scenes, I guess like it'll be interesting to, do you have any sort of favorite, I guess like soundscaping or like little features in Dun Diddy that you love the most?
I think with Dumb Diddy, it was incredibly like simple
Mm,
ensemble wise. It's really not, and I'm sure it's something I'll probably will like break down in those videos that I mentioned, but or that you mentioned. But it was more. It was so sparse. It's got a couple guitars. I think the bass there's a little synth bass, but like the main bass was just like a guitar pitch down. There's maybe two vocals, like a harmony for like some of the parts. It was just very basic, and I think like, but it felt like it sounded very full,
it
and
did.
that's what really excited me about it when I wrote it because I can spend hours or days, like at least at that time, working on a song, trying to figure out what was missing. I'm like, oh, it needs another part, it needs another part, and then you get this very bloated mix that you've got
Yeah.
to sort of really can keep hitting this mic. I'm too expressive. You
Whoa.
got to like really condense down. And with Dumb Daddy, it was just felt really natural and minimalist in a way. And yeah, it didn't feel like that was at the expense of how big the song felt. So
It's like a bold
yeah,
song,
but
simplistic but bold.
that's how it felt to me. And
Mm,
that's not to say like some songs I feel like I spend hours on and they have lots of little bits of ear candy or whatever you call it. And I'm like, this
mm,
still sounds like a great song. So I don't think it means that a song strictly has to be like that. But I just know when I was writing it and when I finished it, I just felt
yeah.
like that really connected with me personally and sounded great in my head. So
Mm.
um,
And I think like before we move on, like I want to quickly mention like with your you mentioned like re I guess like what was the word you used, but like for remixes and such, like
hmm,
I'm not like someone who often listens to remixes because like again like you said like some people argue like, oh, what's the point, but I can kind of see like it's kind of an evolution, kind of like a marking point where you've improved and you've outgrown like that last point of the music, so going back to a song and then kind of remastering it in a way like with different people and collabing, it kind of is a really interesting process. And I can see like Dum Dee Dee being a song, since it's so simplistic, it could have a
hmm.
lot of potential in like with whatever direction you want to take it, like if you wanted to. So I guess it's quite cool when you think about it in that, that's something that's very unique.
Yeah, like I mean, I could talk about the reimaginings like so much because it's something I really
Mhm.
wanted to do. But I just think there's a few examples. There's not many, but there's a few examples. Like I think Paul McCartney did it on his not his last album, previous album before that. Remy Wolf did it. Daisy the Great, who they've got one coming up, but like rather than doing a whole album of remixes of their songs, they've got like just artists that they've connected with and hopefully, I guess, maybe become friends with doing these different versions. And I always found it really interesting as a listener. I mean, I have less interest in a straight up remix. I really love it when there's something, maybe a new vocalist on there, or they've just completely turned it into because like
Mhm.
what's his name? Still Woozy? Was that his name? He did a version of a Maria's song, and the Maria's version is amazing, and Still Woozy's version of that is also so cool. And
Mm.
it's like not only has that connected me with the Marias, who I'd not heard of before then, even though they're huge. Uh, I like, I, it didn't diminish the original song. It just gave me another way of enjoying it, and I think it just that always excites me. I feel like I get quite excited about hearing what someone else is going to do to a song,
Mm.
if it's not just a straight up remix, like they've just sped it up and put a club beat on it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm so enthusiastic about
That's so
it.
cool. I feel like you need to like remember like to do an episode for yourself where you just talk about like the reimagining because I feel like it's such a, and I feel like more people would be interested in, especially like independent artists maybe getting into this area too. They might be like, wow, there's so much I can learn about this, or there's so much potential in this area. Um,
Yeah,
it's
maybe.
it's interesting. Like so many different artists I've like seen like everyone's like initial sort of first few years, the path they've taken. It's just such a it's drastically different, but also kind of like there's a lot of, I guess, like overlap as well. It's just a really interesting area to kind of
Yeah, yeah.
talk about. Um, I
Yeah.
guess like we kind of covered this in terms of, I mean, Dum Diddy being one of those things that sits with this question, but like I guess on top of lyrics, in terms of lyrics, are there other like lyrics that fans kind of frequently mishear or like misunderstand completely? Like get it completely wrong. I guess like I would be one of those people. I've been up to an artist and said like I really like this part where it says this, and I did an artwork on this, and he was like, "Oh, that's not what it says at all." And I was like, "It has a cool artwork though," and I was like, "Bury me in the hole right now."
I am
Um,
definitely really guilty of it myself with a lot of
mhm.
artists, of just mishearing them and then singing them like that forever. I mean it's a really good question because I feel like I should really ask the
Mhm.
Sockitteers what if that is the case, because I think it must have come up at some point, but I can't
You
think of
should
anything
do a
off the top
poll
of
and
my
just say
head.
like, "Oh, what's your favorite lyrics?" Like, and then like let them write
Yeah.
it. Let's just see like
Yeah, yeah.
how bad it gets.
Yeah, well, we do like a question of the week in the Discord, and
Mm.
I sometimes do struggle to think of something, so that would be a really good one.
That would be a really good question.
Uh,
I would be interested to see. I mean, like, that's the one
yeah,
thing I sometimes complain about, like, say, Spotify. I just think, like, sometimes it's actually hard to find lyrics. So it's like hard to learn
yeah,
a song, especially if you're bad as like me with like hearing. I'll just be like, I really don't know what's been sung in that like last 2 minutes, and I'll be like, I need to see the words. And then you go into the
yeah. I'm
song
the same.
and expand it, and you're just like, no, no lyrics for this one.
Yeah, I know that is really annoying.
It's a lot of
I
work. I can understand because every independent artist these days, right now, you're essentially doing four people's jobs alone, back to
mm,
back.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I definitely make an effort to put the lyrics up on like Genius and on Spot. Well, I use an app called Music Match, which distributes the lyrics, I believe, to like all of
Oh,
the
nice.
streaming services.
Yeah, there's
And
a few apps
then
like that for a lot of things. It's great.
yeah, and then if I've got like if I find the time, I usually put like the tablature up on like a guitar website or something,
Oh,
so
nice. Yeah,
people have
yeah.
access to that.
People
But
love that.
that's a lot more long-winded.
Mm,
Uh, but yeah, no, like I'm really guilty when I've been singing live of just like mixing up my lyrics. I don't know if it's called like a spoonerism or something, but I did it during it was the Auto Heart support shows, and Kian, who came along, he's one of like he's been a sort of a Sockitteer for quite a while now. I think he joined around Run Time as well. I was performing, and so I had someone in the audience who actually knew I got the lyric wrong, but there's a lyric in Say I'm Not Sorry where I say on the first like pre-chorus I say I'll find myself a partner in the cat that's in the corner that I'm hoping will hear me out, which is a weird lyric anyway. And then the second pre-chorus I say, and I'll find myself a lover with a wicked sense of humor, and we'll figure it out or something. I said, I'll find myself a lover in the cat that's in the corner. And I just remember thinking, what did I just say? I was like, uh, and like, so I've messed up my own lyrics and got confused about what the actual lyric is. But I need to find out what other people are
but
mishearing for sure.
if you ever feel bad about it, I mean, because like when you first start, obviously, inevitably that feels like a drive to kind of feel like a bit embarrassed or like a little bit like, oh my God, like in the moment. But I actually find for us, like who are fans, when we watch like hopefully one day when I watch your performance live, like for us, those are like what kind of really shines about the person's character and like the artist's kind of personality. And it's usually, and you'll find when you come to Australia, I'm guaranteeing you this. One, first of all, you're probably gonna have to do a shoey at some point. And I don't know if you
A
know what I
what?
mean. A shoey. Have you ever heard of a
A
shoey?
shoey? No, I don't think
This is
so.
when so my favorite one of my favorite my like one my all-time favorite artist is Sam Tompkins. He had to do that when he came here and he was like really like severely worried about people having like foot disease or something. But basically it's when someone throws a shoe onto the stage, you get a beer, crack open the beer and pour it into the shoe and you chug it. And that's like a
Oh,
in Australia.
oh,
It's so
why?
gross, isn't it? And I'm just, oh, it's gonna be all warm and shit. And I'm like, oh. And it was so funny. So when he
Crikey.
did it, he was just like, all right, so I heard you guys have a thing called shoe. And like Australians are going, "Ah!" And then like literally he hasn't even finished the sentence. He's like, so I might need, and just like two shoes, like from two different people, like flew onto the stage.
Whoa!
And
It
he's just
wasn't
like,
even
oh,
his shoe.
I know. And then he picked it up
No.
and he goes, like, honestly, you probably just use your own shoe, right? I think most people do their own shoe. And he just like picked
I
it up
think
and he's like, all right, yeah.
I would have to bring a clean shoe. I would have to drink out of a clog or something that's not going
Yeah,
to
yeah.
absorb
I'm
all the
giving you
beer.
that benefit of the doubt of preparing yourself for the inevitable when you come to the land down under. And our audiences are, tend to be very funny. There's always that one heckler that would be like, "I love you" in like the quietest moments after like sort of a heat of a moment. Like every
Yeah.
concert I've been to so far in the last 2 years, I'm just like, gosh, we have like the best audience. Like one, we're so good at hyping the situation up, and two, there's always some weirdo who's a good heckler. So that's something you
I
can definitely look forward to, especially the funkier the
I
event, the venue.
yeah, there was a guy at the support shows who because I came out in the big jumper for the show.
Yeah,
I'm like, this is my safety jumper, but like it's so hot on stage that
I
after
was
the
going to
first
say,
song, I've got to take it
oh,
off. And like there's a lot of like joking, like sort of hooting
woo!
and whistling. Yeah, exactly, because you're taking it off. And then there's just like it goes quiet and there's just one guy going, put it back on. I was like and like I was like I thought it was really funny, but I was like, I just
Yeah.
don't know how to react to it because like you've kind of said the funniest thing in this moment. So I just sort of
You should have been
went,
like, oh
oh
no, I'll make a choice.
yeah. But it was really funny and it made everyone laugh. But
That's great. That's
yeah.
awesome. Yeah, it's exactly like that in Australia. Like we just
Yeah.
have some like I have to found I'm a shy audience, so like I've had to find myself getting more and more comfortable after a few different concerts to kind of really get there and and depending on the artist's like sort of size of the venue, like some artists is obviously like I went to Sam Tompkins concert in a
Oh,
location
cool.
called the Factory Theatre and there were two
Yeah.
rooms. So one room was like humongous and at that point, he's kind of pretty much made it to like the main charts, so he's rather big.
Mm.
But then there's another artist who's local in Australia and he's making it pretty big now and he's starting to tour like overseas. But he was in the next room over, which was actually the room where we were doing a meet and greet for Sam Tompkins initially in the same
Mm.
location on two different occasions. But it's just interesting,
Yeah.
different artists at
Yeah.
different frames, obviously crossing paths in different timelines. It's really cool to as a fan to be like, I've seen that person here. Like when you performed, you're like, oh, this
Yeah.
artist is
Yeah.
venue.
Yeah.
And in our initial interview, we even covered the question about like your dream venue. I can't remember what your answer was from the time, but we were like talked about. We're like, what would your dream venue be? And you know,
Yeah. I
which
can't even think what I would have said, to
yeah,
be
I have to go
honest.
back and check. But speaking of that though, who, if you were gonna do like a headlining like your own show, like pretend you were doing like a huge tour right now, who do you think would open for you? Any,
Open for me.
yeah, yeah, opening show. Like you can pick anyone. Who would you want to?
Oh, I
That's always a big question for an
I
artist.
don't know. Thing is, like, I know a lot of people who I'd want to open for. Um, but I mean, phew, think that's a hard. I mean, I think it would all kind of come down to either people that I'd really love to meet, like
Hmm.
maybe like Alfie Templeman or Journey would be. I mean, these are all people who I should be supporting, frankly. But Journey would be a really cool one. Remy Wolf.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, you love her.
uh, I don't know if I'd be right. She'd be right to support me, or I'd be right to support her. But Saya Gray, I was listening to their album last year, and it's just so good. So maybe them. Or
Mm.
on the flip side, I feel like if I was doing well enough for myself that I was on a headline tour and selling out or something, and I could have anyone support me, I think that would be quite nice to get some like smaller artists. I think I do love. I feel like it'd be really nice to be able to like return the favor to some people, get them like on a
Mm.
bigger stage. But I mean, as I said, I feel like the likelihood is I'm going to have
Because
to
like,
do a lot more supporting
'cause
myself. So
I also think like with at your stage, because like, you know, as you're working towards becoming like bigger venues, you have the
mm,
freedom to be really I want to say the word creative with like how you do opening shows. Like one of the artists I attended, who I mentioned previously, what really caught me off guard was I didn't expect him to have three different people open for his show. So he had three different artists lined up.
free, wow,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, two or three. Um, so yeah, so I was just like, I was like, oh, that artist is the opening, you know, and I was like, oh, she's really good. Then she left. Then I was like, oh, that's still not the artist. And I was like, who's he? And
mm,
apparently that was his like friend who he's touring with, and he performed as
yeah.
well. So it's really cool.
You know what?
Um,
That
yeah,
I would love to have like Cole Tomlin and Youth Sector off of the album to come because it would be really cool to have them support and then play the songs with us. Like,
yeah,
I feel like that would be like the only one of the few opportunities where we'd actually get to perform those songs the way they were like
yeah. There's
on
nothing quite cool
record.
as like
That's the
featured artist is
that would
actually showing
that for
up.
me. Yeah, that would be pretty
Mhm.
cool.
That's
So
awesome.
maybe that's my answer.
Yeah, so definitely a question to stay with you and think about in the future.
Yeah.
Never say never. Let me see. So I think we covered this a little bit, this question, but it's about like social media and branding. Obviously, you know, the reason I put that question in there, I'll explain, is because I remember we kind of initially chatted about it in the original interview. We did kind of mention like I think we've covered the fact that you initially when you were doing all those you know, your original style where you had multiple versions of you in the same cut
Yeah.
and you were having like editing all that, you were kind of like not always 100% sure what would be your next real idea. Like you're trying to figure it out, I guess, like figure out a
Yeah.
style, and you weren't like
Mm,
100% set on it just yet. And obviously that's
mm.
still part of your repertoire of like reels that you do, but you've obviously kind of become more and more comfortable and kind of found a few different things that fit into your niche now, I guess.
Yeah.
Hmm. How would you say like that?
Um,
Like, was there anything that particularly inspired you over these 2 years that kind of helped you get there?
no, I mean, I think as soon as I put out the last single of the album, I was like, I'm kind of a bit. I felt a bit done with the kind of content I've been doing because I was like, it's just been like quite repetitive.
Mm.
But the thing is, like, I'm not an influencer. I'm not a content creator. I mean, I am by
Technically,
like, but yeah. I mean,
but
but that's kind of like, it's become a byproduct of like making music, I guess. But I think I kept telling myself I only really want to do if I can, if I'm able to make content that I enjoy making, and for a period of time, like after the album came out, I was like, I can sprinkle in sort of content about the album and about my music, but I can kind of take a break and just maybe post a few different things, like whether it's the band content or I can do these weekly discovery videos because I was just like,
mm,
I listen to so much music. I love hearing new artists, and I like the amount of times you find an artist that's got very few listeners, but the quality of their music is insane. And I'm like, well,
mm,
like I enjoy doing that. I'd get a lot of like pleasure from putting out videos and showcase. You know, it's not like I have a huge reach, and it's not like it's necessarily
mm.
going to. I don't know. There's every opportunity it could make a difference. So
Right.
I feel like just doing anything like that, even and like I feel like a priority for me has become just really engaging with the core audience that we've built over the last 4 or 5 years. Because I think it's very easy, even when you're a small artist, like I don't have tens of thousands of followers or anything, but like it's very easy as you grow to sort of
Mm.
not be able to give attention to those main supporters. And I think trying to build more of a foundation with them has been a priority, whether that's doing live streams.
Yeah.
I'm going to be doing more of those, but also doing like the gaming streams just to like hang out and give us something to
Yeah.
do together. A lot
Mm.
more going on in the Discord and like building that a lot more. There's the Sockitteers Clubhouse, which everyone should sign up
Mm.
to, because
I didn't know that.
that that's like been a passion project of like it's just a physical newsletter that you receive in the post with some goodies and like stickers,
Oh,
and
yeah. That's so
that
cool.
took me months to like put together, and we put out the first
Especially
issue.
logistics and stuff. Complicated, right?
Just pardon.
Like logistics and stuff would be complicated with that kind of stuff. Organizing
Yeah,
everything.
like it's just getting all the equipment as well, like funding, like being able to. I wanted to be kind of self-sufficient with it, so
Mm.
we didn't have to rely on like printing companies or sticker companies or whatever it is that we might need for it.
Extra
Um,
stress.
yeah, and it's taken like a really long time, but we put out the first, as I said, I put out the first issue
Mm.
this month, and so they're going to be monthly, and so yeah, I'm hoping like also all those things, if people are able to support us in that way, that can help fund like a tour of our own in the future, maybe for
Yeah.
Europe or something. So
That'd be so
yeah,
cool.
I think at the moment the content is very much prioritized around the core fan base, and then once I start putting out actual new music, I'm hoping I'll have a bit more of like I'll be able to put fresh eyes on what kind of content can be put out. I don't know if it'll ever
Mm.
be like Citizen the artist or Citizen the resident, or I forget what he's called. I don't know
Citizen
if it'll
artist,
ever be.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it'll ever necessarily be that level. But
I think I think you have your own like style worked out already. Like it's headed in a direction where it's very uniquely you, so it's already going like somewhere. Like I feel like most artists will start feeling it at some point. Like it took me a little bit, but this year has been the year for me to like get there. And I feel like from content creator to content creator, the biggest thing that most content creators will learn um, and figure out pretty quickly on their own, which you already have, is like authenticity. Like people will watch
yeah, yeah,
anything because you're the artist that they like. So
yeah.
like music obviously is always a big one because it's like cool. I want to see the new music. I want to see their like music videos, like snippets of stuff. But also like
Mm,
you'll find even just like chit chatting about like stuff going on in your life, like anything. Like I've had videos like shorts that I've taken off where it's literally 5 seconds of me just going, I found this jacket and I just throw it on. Like I had one video where I didn't even show the drilling. I just drilled a shelf and I put some incense burners and stuff on there. I just said new shelf. And even that did like
yeah,
1.7K. And I was like,
yeah,
I was like, I mean, I shouldn't say people watch anything because I'm one of those people, but I was just like, I was like, that's so cool. I was like, that makes me so happy. I was like, I can share
yeah,
anything I want. I was like, and people
yeah,
will
yeah.
be willing to watch it for me.
Mm,
It
yeah.
puts the
I think
ego in
that's
a nice way.
yeah. No, it's it. I agree. Like I
Mm,
think my problem is that like through filming all the time, I've definitely got a lot more comfortable, even just
mm.
talking to myself on camera, which more often than
Yeah,
not I am.
it's a
But
process for.
my also my authentic self really doesn't like film everything, which I think is almost a requirement these days in social
It,
media to
it
like,
takes a while
if
to
we're in
strip it
rehearsal,
down. Yeah,
like in rehearsal, like I have to sit down and be like, I'm making something, or I have to go out somewhere and make content rather than
yeah,
being like, um, and I know that like some of the content that does like the best, not necessarily just for myself, but like for other people, is it will be like they're on a walk and they see something funny, or they're like with their mates and they do like a little funny video. And myself and my friends included just aren't really. I think we're like a phones down kind of like group usually, and if
yeah,
anything, you kind of get a bit mocked for having your phone out at any point, or like just having it out all the time, which
yeah.
I prefer, because like I like to be present with my friends, but at the same time,
Yeah.
there's always that part of your brain that's like, I'm missing out on content here. We should have
Yeah.
filmed that funny thing we did. Um,
It's such an
so
interesting
it's
area
yeah,
to like talk about as well. And you brought up that point that's so interesting. Like as a content creator, you really do struggle with that. Like the more you get into it, you go, you know, I want an occasion to be like a good opportunity for content, but I also want this
mm,
opportunity to be just an opportunity where I hang out with people without my phone,
yeah,
without thinking about that. Like you have to differentiate those opportunities at one point, which one you want to like
mm,
sit with. Um,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, so I definitely understand. I think that's such a great point that you've raised. It's like must be so many people's. It's like a dilemma so many people have to sit with at some point, especially with social media
Mm.
being such a big thing at this point.
Yeah. But I think that's also probably why like content creation houses or whatever they're called, they've become more popular. And I
Mm,
don't think it's necessarily as on the nose as that. I know before it was like the hype house or something, and they're very much branded around that. Whereas I think these days the way they frame it is more like
yeah,
they just
but I think
happen to be friends who like filming each other rather than
yeah,
they have
I
like a
guess.
content creation
Like
house.
that, I think that doesn't. It still doesn't address like the main issue around it would be like even if you have friends that have been on the show, say that you host like a couple of times or something, there are moments where you go to like an event together. They might want to talk to you about something else, but then they might hold back or feel like not fully comfortable being the fully authentic self in that moment because they'll be like, well, this is
Yeah.
going to be filmed or something like that. Oh, is he filming today? Like I feel like those kind of play into get into that like come into play. Is the word I guess I'm
Yeah.
looking for. Um, yeah, it's a
So
really
I
interesting.
just need my laptop's about to die, so I just need 2 seconds.
Yeah, you're good.
We are on charge.
Welcome back. Yay. Um, But yeah, the last thing before we move on to the next question, I did want to mention, I think like with you, like one of the coolest things that you have established, and which is what I'm trying to establish, but I find it's actually it can be quite challenging. And I think you having established that is way more important than sort of like, I know, having like a bunch more followers and views. Is like you have a good group of people that interact with you and build a community around and like have interactions and like, these like streams with like, I think that's really important because you actually get to know a fan base. And I think it's kind of like when they say, like, the kind of person you surround yourself with is the kind of person that you will eventually kind of become. Like if
Yeah,
you
yeah.
surround yourself with bad values, you become a bad value person.
Mhm.
So, like, I feel like that's the same with fan bases. If you kind of create a good fan base with like a solid sort of like branding and like values, like they'll kind of eventually bring in and like more people in the same circle that kind of all have like this kind of value, I guess. So like you know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like it's gonna be like a really solid fan base that you're building, which has like
yeah.
high interactive values and stuff. Like for me, like I did a live stream and as the last episode of the last season, just to kind of figure out how live streaming works on YouTube, how it saves and
Mhm.
all that. And I knew it wasn't going to be busy, but I didn't realize how quiet it really was going to be. And it was the funniest thing. It's just the comments that I got, like people in the chat is just so different. Like in the last, I
Yeah,
did
yeah.
two sessions in one day. The last session, there was one guy who showed up. He wasn't even a fan. He actually was just scrolling through live streams and he ended up on mine and he said, hey, I've been on for an hour for like different live streams. Yours is the most interesting by far. I was talking like
Yeah.
about nothing. I was like, oh yeah, the topic's about love, but I'm just gonna talk about one of my exes, I guess, because someone asked about it. I was like mid
Yeah.
talking through it, and he just like sat there and listened, and he's like, oh, this is so interesting. And another guy just jumped on and said, Jesus loves you.
There's a there's always
Oh,
gonna
hi,
be
nice to meet you. I
yeah.
was like, feel free to leave your name. I was like, I'm not, super religious myself, but I was like, but I really appreciate the sentient, any religion with love, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And then he just kind of went quiet for a while and then went offline.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, bye.
Yeah.
So,
I think
that's what I mean. Like, it's actually pretty hard to establish that kind of fan base.
yeah, I think it's really important. Like, I think if I could have maybe done something a little different. I mean, it's hard because it's a process, and for me, I went from someone who was like sort of very much offline and off the grid to
Yeah.
being someone who started posting and then trying to like build on that. And initially I couldn't even have imagined posting once a week, let
Mm,
alone having like a full-on social media schedule for myself. But I do
Yeah.
think it's, even in those early stages, doing like a live stream or engage in just finding ways to engage with even if it's like one or two people, finding ways to engage with them as you're growing is really important. Because I had at one point, like, because you don't know what how the algorithms are going to change either. And if you're like,
Yeah.
unfortunately, something I've discovered is that like they'll stop connecting you with those people at
Mm.
any that you're completely at the will of the algorithm. They're the
Yeah.
gatekeepers of success. So like,
Mm.
if like, it's all well and good that now I've got this like a nice infrastructure where I'm able to connect with like the core audience and hopefully also continue building. I think if I started that earlier, I could have maybe maintained and kept that connection with some of the people who have probably dropped off the grid more because of algorithmic reasons more than anything. So I think, yeah, continue. Even like, it's really easy to underestimate yourself and underestimate your worth when you feel like you've got like no followers or you've got no listeners or whatever it is. But
Mm. 100%.
there are always people watching and listening and ready to like discover you because you're connected to the whole world. And I think you may as well do that from the get-go than wait until down the line when like waiting for like that perfect moment, because there just never is a perfect moment. So
Yeah, always take the
yeah,
leap of faith. Like I found, like with doing this podcast, like every shot like should be shot. Like if you're thinking about it, then you should do it because like
yeah,
DM, for example, every artist is different. Some artists don't say no to you. They just haven't read the DM because they're not people who read DMs, and they probably get a
yeah,
hundred DMs a day. Who's going to have time after back-to-back work, releasing songs, doing posting
mm,
and all that, and like read 100 messages, you know? So I don't take it personally, but I feel like you have to 100%. Like I make a list of like people I want to, like different areas, not just music artists, but that I
yeah,
want to interview. And I have another list that says green lighted interviews. Some of them get green lighted, and then, you know, unfortunately, during the process of kind of getting from questions to the actual scheduled date, it just completely goes silent. Sometimes because people are too busy, you know.
yeah,
Like there's another artist that I interviewed after our first interview, from Miami. He's also been on tour like you, but he's doing quite a lot of the ones, I guess, like repeats, but it's doing well. But it's just he actually did green light and say, "Oh, how about around March?" And I said, "Came back around March," and I kind of tried to bump it a little bit, and he hasn't
yeah,
replied. So I'm like, okay, he's really busy. I was like, maybe we'll try again, like
yeah,
in a month or two. I'll just bump it again. You just never know.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
if it's something with you, like
No,
initially very close to being like, I was like, I'm close to like giving up. I was like, maybe we've passed our moment. You're kind of maybe just a little too big now. I'm like, you know, and I was like for the show. And I was just like, should I bump it again? So, you know, it's so funny.
yeah,
Um, but
yeah.
yeah,
It's a
so
push and pull. Yeah.
push and pull. So the next thing I really
Yeah.
want to talk about, which is very exciting. So tell us a little bit about Project Songbird.
Uh, yeah. It's quite. I mean, it's a really cool thing, and in some ways,
Mm,
it's like almost quite little to say about because it was uh probably before we had the last interview. I saw either someone sent it to me or it came up on my TikTok that
mm,
a this indie game developer was putting together another game. He'd already put together one or two at this point, and he was looking for indie musicians to feature in it. Uh, Now I'm aware of like more of like the style and the theme of it because of like other games I've been playing on my live streams. But it was like I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. He said it's a horror game, and I said, oh well, I've got this song called Run Run coming out soon. That feels like a good fit for a horror game to be running away from something. And he was like, yeah, this is great. I'd love to feature it. And I was like, no way, that's so cool. And then signed like an NDA and like a few contracts. And then I completely forgot about it. And then it got to like early this year. And I thought, oh, wasn't I supposed to be in a game or something? And then I just sort of searched it up and it had a new trailer that had dropped really recently at that time on YouTube. It was the thing that made it really exciting for me, especially at that time, was that it was on the official PlayStation channels on YouTube
Whoa.
and that sort of thing. So I was like, oh, this is like a bigger deal than I thought. And I don't know whether they've had broader releases like this on consoles. I think their previous
Yeah.
games were just on PC and Steam, which is still an insane achievement, obviously. And like he's
Mm.
done these games all by himself.
Oh, yeah.
A really talented guy, Connor Rush. But yeah, I dropped him an email. I was like, oh, I just wanted to check, like that game's still coming out. Is my music still on it? No worries if not. I'm
Yeah.
excited either way. And he was like, yeah, no, it's all good. It's coming out soon. Excited for you to play it. And I was like, cool. I don't suppose I could get a free copy of the game. And then he was like,
I
sure.
mean, you hope so, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was like I
Yeah.
didn't get like it was the agreement was that it was because it was an indie game. There was no budget. Like they just wanted to get some indie musicians on there. So it's not like I got paid
Mm.
for it anyway. I was just like,
Yeah.
uh, and then yeah, the game dropped, got a free copy of it, and it's an awesome game. I can't recommend playing it enough. I used to play a lot of games as a kid, but not these days. Really, this is my live streams are an excuse to get to play games because I just don't have time these
It's a
days.
good thing.
But yeah, and this game was really cool. And then it's got a little. You have like a vinyl collection, and then my song came up, and the voice actor says like a little thing about me, and they go, "Oh, suck it to me, such a great indie artist," or whatever. And I'm like, "Oh my god, they're talking about me."
Yeah, it's
It felt
cool.
very cool, and I've got a feeling they might even be doing a physical release of the game soon because it was only digital before. So that's quite exciting. I'll definitely have to get my
Mm.
hands on a copy of the actual disc so I
Yeah,
can
having
sort
a
of just
physical media,
like
that'd be so
frame it or
cool.
something.
That could be something
Because
cool to like get a copy of and display on the wall. Because obviously, because I'm trying to
exactly,
think, I was just thinking as I said, you being like, especially like one of my, like pretty much my first interview, I'm like, and such a great artist. I was like, I have to feature you on the wall. I was like, am I going to have to wait till like get a photo or something? Like, that's going to be a while. So I was like, can I get like someone to knit like a tiny version of your sweater and just put it on there somewhere? But that would be really cool. Um,
yeah.
is the game only at the moment, like, is it only on, what was it, Xbox, is it?
I think it's on all the consoles. It's on PC, Xbox, and
Okay,
PlayStation. I
the
don't
PC as
think it's on
well.
Nintendo.
Because I
But yeah,
know a
it's
friend
on
that
like
plays a lot of PC games. I currently don't have a PC anymore. My laptop died on me like pretty much after I left my old place. It was just like,
right.
oh, I'm retired, and I was like, really, like completely, and it's just like, yes, forget about me. It was, it was, it was a thing of the past, and I haven't
Yes.
gotten a laptop since I switched completely to my phone, and it streamlines everything. So there's less reason to
Yeah,
spend that
yeah.
much money. Um,
True.
yeah, so that's really cool. So yeah, I definitely have to check that out. I actually want to see the trailer now because I didn't even see the trailer. I just noticed there has been times where you've released like reels kind of like looks like something about a game. Again, like because I don't play that many games. So I think the game as far as I go is just like Nintendo Switch Pokemon. And that's the only game I think
Yeah,
even
yeah,
that's kind of getting challenging because they've switched from turn to turn based combat back in the our Game Boy days. They've actually recently
yeah.
switched to 3D models, and you actually, which is really cool. It's actually really fun. They've actually switched to live battling. So, for
Okay.
example, they had one game that was really good where they take you back to a region, but it was back in the days where people and Pokemon haven't lived together yet, and they're like scared of them. So you're like a
Right.
researcher trying to prove people wrong and tell them that like they're actually able to be partners. So you have to go out, do
Mm.
tumble dives and throw like these like your own crafted Pokeballs from like ingredients. And then you have to like
Oh,
fight
cool.
to revive. So like if you don't react fast enough, you die really quickly. And I'm just like, this
Oh,
is
wow.
too buttons for me to smash. I was like, I'm not used to this. I'm like, I usually just have to press A and some up and down buttons.
Yeah.
But that's as far as my gaming experience goes. So like I don't know if I'll be playing that game, but horror game seems like the worst idea for people like me. But I'll still check it out.
Yeah, I've definitely been expanding my horizons when it comes to what games I
Yeah.
play. I'm not a horror game person, but it's just something that I assumed would
You
go down better on a gaming
you get jump
stream
scared really
because
easily.
yeah. I mean, I
That's usually fun to watch.
I'm terrified of horror games. It's like in some
Same.
ways the worst experience, but I think it does sort of trigger a very real response from me, which I feel like is
Compulsory.
needed because not much else gets much of a reaction. So
Yeah,
yeah.
because like I feel like for me, I don't know if you're the same. Like I don't want to like spend money going to watch horror movies. Like every time people are like, "Oh, this horror movie's out," I'm like, "Yeah, but when I go watch a movie, I want to like have a good time. I don't want to like sit down and be like sweating my ass off and then like leaving feeling like I've just found another way to traumatize myself." You know, it's like, why would I spend money to like do that to myself? And then
Yeah.
people be like, "Oh, that's weird." Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I guess the next question I wanted to cover was like the album Safety and Jumpers. I guess like we haven't really exactly completely covered like I guess like how did you come with the concept? I guess like the title and like what was it really like all supposed to represent for you as an artist and I guess the song.
So I kind of came about in a similar way to Suck It To Me as a name. I think I'd every so often I'd write something down, just like some ideas. But it was during lockdown that I was writing a lot of this music, and I guess I like a play on words. So safety in numbers, safety in jumpers was like, oh, that sounds interesting. But then at the time, it felt quite relevant because rather than hanging out in groups and with other people and our friends and stuff, we were all indoors in like baggy like sweatpants and jumpers and stuff. And I was like, it for me, it was just reflective of that specific time I was in. I was like, guys, I'm
Mm,
finding safety in my solitude in a big baggy jumper rather than with safety in numbers of being with my friends and like family and stuff. So it's kind of where it came about. And then I was like, I probably had the idea for the name before the actual thought of making an album came about because I never really thought albums were something you could do independently. Felt like
mm,
you'd need again. It's like that citizen effect where you look at it and you think that's really good. That's really unachievable. There's no way I can do that, so there's no point in even trying, sort of thing. And
mm,
I thought, well, realistically, like I'm not going to get a label. I'm not going to get these things unless I actually show initiative and just start doing things myself. And maybe I don't even need a label. Like, just find
yeah.
out what you can do instead of putting hurdles up. And I thought straight away, I really wanted a massive jumper to be the album cover. It was very different in my mind's eye than it actually came to sort of fruition. But I was like, I'm going to make a jumper. The artwork can be based around like the embroidered patches and stuff, and it can all tie together in that way. Again, kind of more of a happy coincidence that that tied in with like sock it to me socks and safety and
And
jumpers,
like the
jumpers. Like,
embroidery kind of thing. Yeah.
yeah, like that
So
all was like just a nice coincidence more than anything. But
I feel like I must have watched it somewhere. I could be wrong. But like, did a friend of yours like stitch on like and make like the sweater for you or something? Was it like a friend or was it someone you hired to do it? Like, who made the,
um, so at the time I was with my now ex, but like it's a shame really because I had a lot of content filmed of the making of the jumper and the making of the patches and stuff. The patches themselves were uh like made by a local, well, it was local to me then, by a local Welsh embroidery company.
yeah.
So that was the only part, like, because I need a big industrial machine to make them. But yeah, my ex helped me at the time with sort of stitching them down and like helping with some of the designs. But unfortunately, all of the content I recorded was on their phone. So
Oh no.
I didn't, when it came to it, I had really nothing to show, which is a shame. But at the same time, it's just one of those things that happens, isn't it? So,
Was it
um,
like was it a weird breakup where you can't just ask for it? Like go like, hey, just can I get that
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. I mean, it was. To be honest,
It's
it
probably
was
always a
like
bit
it was also
awkward.
quite like it was quite a while after that I realized I didn't have the footage.
Oh yeah.
So it was
When you
like
start for
it would have
for
been like reopening a whole thing. Yeah, and I
yeah, out of respect and everything as well. Makes sense.
yeah, I honestly don't even think it was something I even like considered actually doing, like reaching out. But
Mm.
I don't even know if they would have the content. They might have deleted it. I don't know. But I just
Oh,
thought
yeah, that's true.
I'll just have to. I'll make do with what I've got. I've got like some. I've had very few photos and stuff, but it is a shame because obviously,
Oh,
even more important at the time, AI wasn't a thing, but now it's
yeah,
like,
exactly.
well, people like to see the process even more so that they know that it's real and that there's a human behind it. And yeah, having
Mm.
those videos of me like on the sewing machine or like sewing the big logo on and stuff
Just
would have
AI
been
grandma sewing it for you.
nice.
This is my
Pardon?
grandma. And then you just AI grandma sewing it for you, and she's just behind
Yeah,
waving away, and you're
yeah.
like recording of what. Have you seen those videos where people do, like, because there's like reaction videos where it looks like someone's kind of stitched themselves to the front of the video and they're like, oh yeah, I think like this person doing this here and they're like explaining. But what people have
Yeah,
done
yeah,
with that trend is they started a new trend where an actual person's actually still in the shot, like the actual in the original shot, but they
yeah,
look
yeah,
post editing and they go, so like this lady here doing this, and then the wife eventually turns around and says, are you just gonna sit there and talk or are you gonna come and help me?
yeah, yeah,
And I'm like,
yeah.
you just don't know where creativity is taking people these days with reels.
No, no,
Um,
it is interesting.
yeah. There's another thing I wanted to ask. So, like, I didn't realize you were, I think, like, this was like several times already before by the time we did our first interview. You were already featured on BBC Radio, I think, at least once. Like, I think
Yeah,
you've been
yeah.
on
At
BBC
that time, yeah,
Radio quite a lot. And I was just like, oh my God. I was like, that's crazy.
yeah. It's it's weird. I'm always grateful for being because Steph Newenhouse, who is the local DJ, the local BBC DJ here in the south of England, or at least where I am, she has been an incredible supporter of my music pretty much since I moved back to the UK. Even before, actually, when I was in Wales, I remember she featured one of my songs before I even
Mm.
moved down here, which was crazy. And they've even gone as far as to make them like track of the week, and that's really cool. I can't seem to get the attention of BBC Radio One. I don't know what it is. Like
Oh, you mean like
Steph,
after being featured?
yeah. So like I want to say that they must be aware of me because of the amount of times Steph has featured me, and I feel like she's really, as I said, she's been a real
Supporting you.
um, champion of my music and pushing it, and obviously even had me on the show. We had I've had a few interviews with her. We've did the live lounge on her show. Really cool. Um, but it seems, despite both of our efforts, I did have Disguise got on BBC Radio One, which was really cool. And Radio 6, I think, picked up Swim.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, it seems very like that because a lot of artists sort of develop a more of a more thriving relationship with the sort of the big ones and stuff once they get on there. Whereas I just I can't quite seem to break through to them for some reason, which is a shame. But
Okay.
there's still time. But yeah, no, amazing. Like, yeah, really, always incredible to be featured on Steph Newenhouse's show. Or when it was in Wales, it was a guy called Adam Walton who did the local one there. So that was always like, it's always like really like just amazing. It's really rewarding to have someone validate your music in that way and say they want to have it on their show. So it's yeah, really cool.
Yeah. That's really cool. It is an interesting thing, I guess. Like it's like to me when I hear BBC Radio, I obviously think I'm like, oh my God, that must be so big and obviously like spike your followers and stuff. But again, like we talked about followers and such, like you just never know how it happens, I guess.
Yeah,
Um,
no,
but like,
I think
yeah.
BBC is great for everyone knows the BBC,
Mm,
so it's widely recognized. And when you say you've been on it, you do get like a nice boost in engagement from people who already follow you because I think it feels again it's just something that everyone knows. But when it as far as like growing a following, it can be a bit it's almost like a really great thing to have on your CV, I'd say. Like, you know, like it's like a little job position you've had or something, more than you're definitely going to get a massive like new following from it. Because I guess I don't know, it's a weird one. Radio's like it's still really big, but you never know what spot you might get played in a spot that's just not a very popular time for people to be listening or something, you know.
mm.
Yeah, but anyway, so you were saying
Um, yeah, cool. So we just have a few questions left. So, I guess like we talked about this already. If you could collaborate with anyone next, who would it be? I guess we've kind of talked about like your I guess like show openers, but I guess this is more like maybe more immediately in the future. Is there someone who you really, I guess, realistically hope to kind of collaborate with, or kind of like have a list of people you're
uh
working with, kind of teaming up with?
uh Auto Heart would be very cool, just because
Hmm.
obviously we supported them. So having them collaborate on a song would be really crazy. I really wanted to collaborate with the producer Solomonophonic, who
Oh,
produced
that's a cool
music for
name.
Remy. It is a very cool name. He
Yeah.
produces for Remy Wolf. He produces for Lola Young. He's done some stuff for Journey. Um, he just seems like an incredibly talented producer whose music I just love, and everything he touches just seems to turn to gold. And I'm like, I want a piece of that. That would be very cool.
I
Um,
Bing.
uh,
Gold finger.
so off the top of my head, those two. But I think like Scrawny was like for me quite up there. So that's a massive one that I've ticked off my list.
Hmm.
Um,
You know, speaking of
really,
collabs, I have a really funny story. I feel like you'll be entertained by it. So I have a friend who he was also like he's probably like the first interview I did in terms of local people that I can actually meet face to face. So you're my first like
yeah.
interview like interviewee like ever. But he eventually released this song which I really liked, but it was really funny at the time. I said, oh, this song sounds really good. And I was like, the guy, you know, that you feature, like that you're collabing with, it's cool. He's a really good rapper too. And then he's like, yeah, but I have a problem. And I'm like, oh, what's going on? And he says, so we're about to release this song. He's gone MIA. We can't find him anywhere. Like we can't track him down. We can't contact him. I'm like,
Yeah.
uh, I was like, is he all right? And I was like, this sounds more like more than just that kind of issue. And I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure up to date, this has been released for more than 6 months, I think, or at least a few months past. Like I think it was like end of last year that they released the song. I
Yeah.
still haven't heard anything about this guy. Like, I don't think they know what's happened to him. It's
Wow.
just like
Bizarre.
one of
Yeah.
that has to be one of someone's like weirdest collab experience ever.
Yeah.
Imagine, like your partner just
Yeah.
kind of going like, "So I made the song with this guy. I don't know where he is."
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it does. People just it's it's a creative thing as well. I think artists
Hibernate after
we're
producing a song.
after pretty much everything we do. I think
This is like, I'm done with
we
society.
just yeah. It just you know people disappear or like they'll you know you can get a response from someone one day and then
Mm,
not for like another few months or so. It's crazy, but yeah,
maybe it's true. Yeah, some people are really bad
sadly,
with messages.
yeah, yeah. It's relatable though. Yeah, I can definitely relate to it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, everyone has different social batteries as well, I guess, so that is kind of something you have to look
Great.
into. So
Yeah.
I guess we're kind of start wrapping up now, and I guess one of the questions that a lot of fans would expect and be curious about is obviously I think you kind of covered it briefly, but like, what can we kind of expect for the remainder of the year? We're pretty much at the halfway point exactly, leading into
Mm.
July. What's kind of planned for you for the rest of the year? Is it still kind of fleshing out, or you kind of have something planned?
Lots, you know, I it's a question I ask myself every single day is what is the plan? I think
Oh,
you know, the main project on the go at the moment, or my main focus is, as I said, live performances. Hopefully, booking in some more of those. Um, a lot more like more just like content, expanding on safety and jumpers and looking into those songs and you know community events and that sort of thing. We've got the reimaginings of the tracks coming out, and that will hopefully by the end of the year culminate in the whole new sort of like version of the album coming out. So that'd be cool.
mm,
Um, Fingers crossed. This is never something you can like count on, but vinyls, they're so on the
yes.
cards.
Oh,
I
yes.
want them so bad, but they're
I
so
will buy
expensive.
one.
Um, the goal is to have that by the anniversary of Safety and Jumpers. Fingers
Mm,
crossed. But I can't say for sure, unfortunately, which is so frustrating. And then yeah, there's a lot of new music. I think for me is just I'm still figuring out how it all fits together in a way that's going to feel like rewarding and satisfying, not just for myself but for people who do like my music
mm.
and hopefully have grown to
Oh,
expect some sort of like packaged thing, you know, like some consistency or like you know a
like
consistent
a bundle of concepts.
yeah a concept and a theme that runs through that and ties it all together. So I think I'm still figuring that out, but it's very like everything as far as for the next project is very much
Mm,
underway and in development. It's
yeah,
just trying to find its spot in the
yeah. Trying to kind
schedule.
of, I guess, plot everything in place, I guess, is a good way to kind of explain it.
Yeah, I mean, I've got like 3 albums worth of music and I don't know what
Um,
direction to take it in. So like
mm,
I'm like, do I release any of this? Do I start afresh and do something completely different, or do I use some of these songs? So I have I have some idea, but also no idea, if I'm honest. But plenty to look forward to this year, and
mm.
definitely not a shortage of stuff to come. That's for sure.
Yeah, because I guess music really goes hand in hand with an artist's life. So it really depends. It's like a reflection of like your life experiences and the time of the life. So it would
Yeah.
depend on what happens this year too. I was going to suggest to you as well, like, so I do have a friend. So the artist friend I told you that collabed with someone with that funny story, he actually introduced me to his good friend, and he's a producer here locally. He
Mm,
actually, so because, Spotify as an artist, you probably are obviously fully aware the streaming payments are not great,
mm.
not like incredible numbers, let's just say. So he actually, so this is a story I think would help like more artists if it's shared because it's a reminder that you can in this day and age be as retro and creative at the same time about like your music's, I guess like how you get it to fund yourself in this lack of
Mm,
words. Basically, he did a movement this year. He made a huge decision. He completely removed all his music from Spotify because one, it just wasn't making any music like enough money for him.
yeah.
So what he did was he started a movement where he brought back Bluetooth MP3 players. So what he did
Okay.
was he launched like different tiers. So you can buy like an archive of music, or you could buy like a second tier and it includes like the Bluetooth loaded with like an archive of music. And it
Hmm.
started off with like just selling 10 of them, but people responded really positively to it. And then eventually he launched like
Yeah.
the EP with like a full-blown event. And at the event, obviously, at the merch table, there were more of these MP3 players. And
Yeah.
then for that, subsequently, he releases things time to time, and then it sends out in an email and you can load it up. So that's kind of really helped him. I don't know how much money it
Yeah.
particularly makes, but it really quite affordable because there's different tiers. So I think that's like a really
Yeah.
good point to it. But I just think like, and that, and if you look into statistics, like you said, like vinyls and all that, they're really actually are coming back. Like apparently Gen Z really,
Mm.
really loves that stuff. So I think like
Yeah.
that's one
Yeah.
of the things, and I covered on like the podcast before I mentioned like I just think back in the days, one of the most exciting things was opening like a CD album,
Yeah.
having photo
Mm.
shoots like that really cover different concepts that flesh out like the whole concept overall as the album's main concept, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. But like that was like a
Yeah.
really cool thing, getting to see lyrics, all that kind of stuff. Like I think like that's all
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
comes back. It's just about like I guess artists banding together to kind of make more interesting movements that benefit them. Because I feel like a lot of
Yeah.
the platforms and stuff really kind of benefit artists secondarily. Like they don't really have as much rights as they should, and also like I guess benefits, perks,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you will.
Yeah.
So I feel like, um, I was going to suggest like I could probably like share his profile with you, and if you guys want to start up a chat at some point, just to have a chit chat or something, that could be really cool. Just to like share some ideas and like exchange experiences, that could be really cool at some point. But
Yeah.
it's
I'll
a
send them
cool
my way.
project. I think it's like a cool project. It might inspire you to do something like different or something of your own type down the
Mm.
road. Who knows? But that's just like what I've been thinking about. And I've been trying to promote the movement because I just think it's such a new thing. Like no one's really done anything quite as drastic for a little while. Maybe they have, maybe I
Yeah.
just haven't caught up with it, but I feel like I want to see more of this.
Yeah.
Um,
That's really cool.
yeah, and I guess that's pretty much the last thing. And as always, before we wrap up, do you have like anything you'd like to say to your fans? Anything you want to announce?
Well, usually I like to congratulate anyone who watches my content for making it to the end, because I know that's sometimes a struggle for our attention spans.
Oh no,
Um,
yeah,
but
that.
yeah, I hope you're excited for what's to come, and just I don't know. I feel like all I can ever really say to the Sockitteers, as we call them, is just thank you so much for your endless support, because I couldn't do anything that I do if it wasn't for the fact that you guys listened, or you know support, well, invested in me in any way. So
Mhm.
yeah, lots to come, and I'm working real hard for you, and
And
I
I'm
love you
hoping like,
lots.
hey, and I'm hoping as well. I want to do some plug as well for you at the end. So like, I'm assuming like, you're on YouTube as well, right? So Instagram,
Yeah,
YouTube, TikTok,
yeah.
Facebook.
I have a Facebook, but I
There's so much active
only
on that
post
one.
on there like as a because Instagram shares it to
Okay.
Facebook as
Yeah,
well. So
yeah.
I don't actually
Okay.
look at it, but yeah,
And like I
it
guess so
exists.
like for example in your Instagram bio is like most of the stuff kind of linked there. So like we mentioned you had what was it, Clubhouse? You have obviously
Yeah.
like the music, Spotify, all that. Is there anything else you kind of wanted to mention that you are doing that people can
Well,
join? Like there's the chain
if
group
you
I think
go,
on Instagram.
there's so I mean the link in my bio is a very magical place, because it has everything. We've got access to the Discord, which is just the go-to place for like getting updates on everything first, and just like a really lovely like community, I guess. We've got merch over there, so we got CDs, t-shirts,
Hey.
socks, all sorts. The clubhouse, of course, which is also on the link in the bio, but you can get that through my merch store. There's a few like secret gifts on through the link in my
Ooh.
bio, where you can get. I think they're still up. We've got a couple acoustic versions of songs, um, and then links to just all of my socials. Like you can pretty much find everything you need to know through that link in my bio, and the bio is accessible through
Great.
all of my social platforms wherever you follow me. So
Yeah.
um, check it out.
Yeah, I ask that because I
Wonderful world
always
of
put it in
wonders.
the description as well, just to make it easier for
Yeah.
everyone. And it's always good to um, assume that there's a lot of new people. It's always good to kind of be as prepared as possible. So nice
Yeah.
plug moment for everyone.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So I guess that's pretty much wraps up everything. I think, oh, there was one thing I wanted to ask. How soon do you think you would consider an international tour? I think we kind of covered that, but just in case we didn't,
Uh,
I guess that's a budget
so
thing.
I mean, I would always consider it.
Mm-hmm.
We are me and the band are looking into a European tour. Is kind of like the next sort of. I would. That's not really a baby step. It feels like a massive step, but it's like our baby step towards something more. Whether that's the rest of the world being like America or Australia, etc. But yeah, we're hoping to. It's very much a learning process for us, but I'd say I can say with some confidence that next year there will be some form of European tour, which would be really exciting. Very cool. But
So
there's going to be
cool.
a lot of work. So
I
I'm
know
just
it's a learning
hoping
curve,
that
isn't it? You'll do fine.
yes, I'm just hoping people show up, but we'll we'll find out. We'll find out when we get there.
Yeah, yeah. Send any promotional like material if I miss any, just like send it my way. I always post like on stories and stuff. I like every time I see an event of anyone I've covered, I just like post the shit out of it. I'll just like, oh, an event, even if I can't go, like especially the ones I
Yeah.
can't go, I like make an extra effort to really post it. Um, it's just, you just never know where who's going to reach. And like, a
You
fan might be
don't.
watching going like, oh, I'm in Brisbane, I can't go there. And then they'll be like, oh, they're going to
Yeah.
Brisbane. And I can't go,
Yeah.
but then he finally to be able to go,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that post might make all the difference. So it's super cool. That would be really
Yeah.
amazing. I know Australia's always like the last leg. We get games and stuff last every time. It's so far from everyone, but
Mm.
like it's cool to see like once that first step is made, it's gonna be like in due time it will happen. It's usually like just that step that we're waiting for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hopefully it won't be the last place we go. I would be
Well,
surprised if it was the last place,
as
but
they
we'll see.
say, good things take time, so you
Exactly.
can, and heroes arrive just on time, never late. So take that. Yeah, so yeah, I guess that's pretty much all we have wanted to cover. It obviously went a lot longer than we expected, but thank you so much for spending like all that time with me. And I did want to take the
Sure.
opportunity to thank you again for, with the first interview, like it was technically a disaster. So thank you for taking a chance with me when I was like that bad. Obviously things are a lot better this time.
No, thank you so much for having me again. It's
Yeah,
been
yeah.
a pleasure. It's been
Yeah,
lovely.
it's always so cool to hear everything about your music and getting to know more and how you've like involved. And I hope like more people will join around this time frame. My views have been growing quite drastically, so hopefully that would really push like some reach for artists. There's nothing more than I want to see like my artists that I love like hearing their music like really reach more people and just kind of like seeing how they connect as well, and maybe even collab with people who like end up kind of like coming full circle, I guess, in a way. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so thank you as always, and thanks for being on the channel. Hope you
Yeah.
enjoy
Thank
the
you.
rest of the week.
Yes, you too. Enjoy it. I hope the weather's nice over there.
It's so
And
cold. It's so cold right now.
well, is it? Oh, of course, it's
Really,
your
really cold.
winter right now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's winter
Yeah.
right now. It's been a bit
Yeah. I
drizzly the last
forget.
couple of days.
That's very confusing. I forget about climate. I forget how that works.
I
Um,
know.
yeah,
Maybe it's pretty much the same in the UK though, right? You guys get like that weird sunshine in the rain and then summer for like 2 seconds and then it's like full blown cold and cloudy again. That's pretty much what we have right now.
yeah. We've got yeah. I don't know. We got something weird going on. We had a massive heat wave last week for us. So and now it's very cloudy again, like you said. So
I know.
who
Oh,
knows? Who knows what's in the forecast?
well,
But
I'm
yeah,
gonna
no,
wrap things up and let you go, obviously, because I kept you long enough. But yeah, I'll let you know. So actually, so the next season, season four, launches actually 1st of July, so it'll be tomorrow. So I'm gonna be editing this tonight and popping it up. So
right.
we'll pretty much not have to wait to see it and share it with your friends. And
Cool. I look forward to it. Yeah,
yeah, so
look forward to it
enjoy
too.
your night. I'll talk to you soon
You
on
too.
social media, as always.
Yes, good luck with editing, and I'll catch up with you soon. Thanks again,
Yeah.
Timmy.
Thank you, Sockittome.